graduated in programming, computing programming, analysis, and programming. And I kind of signed up. It was like 800 of us. We all fill out the forms. We only need 40 or 800 to sign. And out of the 800, I was one of the 40. So I managed to graduate with that scholarship as a computer analyst. And it's amazing because now I had a job with the government waiting for me. And it was amazing. People admire me and all that stuff. Good pay, money, and all those things. But I didn't want to do the calendar, which is the old man told me, you need to do this. And I said, I'm not doing that stuff. What's the purpose of that, So, I decided that what I needed to do, I like to help people. And I thought it was better for me to help people, not doing calendars. So I volunteered with the Red Cross to go in the poor areas, orphanages. I volunteered in the road in the war in Nicaragua with the Sandinistas and all that stuff. I love that stuff. I feel like I'm doing God's work, helping these people here, volunteer. But I guess divinity didn't have that opinion. They want me to do the calendar. They didn't care that I was helping people that way. So eventually, I got captured by the army because they know who my father was. And they accused me that I was an incitator. I talked too much, talk against the government and all those things, which I did, because they were bad. And, I ended up being tortured, raped, and liable to be executed. Because I refused to sign a confession. I said, what am I supposed to confess here? Well, you're an agent from Russia, Moscow, and you're planning the overthrow of our government and bringing... This is ridiculous. It's just volunteer with the Red Cross. Well, either you sign or you die. I'm not signing. So, I got tortured and did all these things to me, and I'm supposed to be killed. But one of the guards let me out, and that was about 40 years ago, and I ended up in Minnesota.
Who knew?
Because I have some relatives, and the ones in Minnesota seems to be the ones that are offering me more of maybe a job or something. So, that's how I ended up there. And about the 80s, when I learned English or whatever, I started getting the dreams of the old men telling me it's time to take your destiny, So now you are in the place that you're supposed to be at. And now you start to take your destiny. So I was supposed to move from there to Minnesota because there's a special something there. And that was the point where they want me to be. And so I arrived there. I thought it was by my choice, but I guess it's, And then I started to, eventually, because he wouldn't let me sleep at night, try to learn the calendar and try to do it, but I find out that I forgot a lot of the stuff that he taught me, So I went to study archaeology at the University in Minnesota to see what the scientist says, and then I start combining scientific with the old man's knowledge. And I understood that the ancient Maya were scientists and also mystics. It was a combination of two things. So it was great to understand the calendar, start writing it down, and I did that for a while, even though I didn't know what was that for. I didn't know all those things that I'm going to teach you now. I just know the sequence and this wheel or whatever. And I guess I ought to do it because that's my destiny or something, to keep like a archivist or a, office clerk or something or this stuff. That's what I thought, so I did it for years. But eventually, I kind of just, I was lured by this society because it burns a lot of your time. So I wanted to be like the rest of the people and have a house, family, and pay mortgages, all those things. Bad things, but everybody does it. So I got that way, and I put away the calendar, and then when I did that, and I was very successful. I real estate, buying houses. When I have enough money, then I go back to the calendar because my family pressured me to. You need to make money. You're in the U.S. Send some money. Okay. So I did that, and then after the success thing, so having everything, stock market, money, and all that stuff, I got sick. I ended up sick, and I ended up in a coma in the hospital, and dying, and they said I was going to die, and the old man came in like this, you lost your way. You didn't come here to get all these things. I ended up living in a hospice. I was supposed to send to die in a hospice. 1997, something like that. And once there, and then I said, well, I guess I got to get back to the calendar. So I got back to the calendar, and miraculously, I started getting better and better until the priest kicked me out of the hospice. I stayed longest than anybody, 3 years in the hospice.
Wow.
They said the limit has been a year. They said, please don't put me in the street. I don't have nothing, I'll sweep, I'll cut the grass, whatever, let me stay. And the priest said, okay. And then after 3 years, the board says no more, You're not dying anymore. So I ended up letting out, but I understood at that moment that I can only do this. If I stray out of this mission, they don't like it.
If you leave, they're going to off you.
That's true. Like, we don't have uses for you. So what I find out is that we all have missions in life.
Yours was very evident.
Yes, that is very evident more than other people. So other people, they might get away with stuff, getting off the track and okay, there'll be another lifetime, they'll catch up with it. But in my case, it's like they're not kidding around. I mean, they invested so much in me that they're gonna keep me in track, whether I like it or not. So ever since then, 1999, 98. I've been just doing that, calendars and talking to people, and I would not be talking to you unless that 2012, 2013, the big thing in Hollywood about the end of the world and all that stuff, I've been doing this calendar alone by myself in some room there. I don't care, nobody cares, but I guess that's what I have to do to live, But all of a sudden, something happened in Honduras, coup d'etat, whatever. I contact some people, and Mel Zelaya was overthrown in Honduras. I talked to the people, so many people died in that coup d'etat. And the guy was doing good. He was helping the Garifuna, he was helping the tribes, and then the U.S. didn't like that and overthrew him. And I started to contact people through chat rooms, whatever. And that's when finally the light came out for me, because I've been learning all this knowledge, amassing all this knowledge about the calendar. And for the first time, when I was chatting with them, I said something in Mayan. So what is that? That's just your own ancestral language. They don't teach us about here. They don't know that. So I start teaching them, a group of 9 people in Honduras. I start teaching them through chat rooms. And then one of them says, you know what, you should make a website or something, because we can stay up all night chatting with this thing. So that's how the Mayacron blog was founded in 2009. And I kind of do predictions and talk about the different forces, mostly in Spanish, some sections in English. And it was shocking to me that these 9 people multiplied and became 100,000. Wow. Because one of the people that was corresponding with me, he says, what's your real name? I didn't want to say my real name because some people wanted to kill me, So, but then I said, okay, Miranda. And then he said, oh my God, he said, you're the prophet, You're the sage that we were waiting for all these years. The reason for this is that there was a guy that you probably heard, his name is Jose Arguelles. He was a guru that came up with what's the name of the movement? The Harmonious Convergence movement.
Harmonic Convergence
Yeah.
of 1987.
And he founded the first Earth Day in the United Nations. And this guy theory was that the reason for this society as horrible as it is because the calendar that we use. And that they should be changed for the Mayan calendar instead, because it makes more sense. So this guy was selling this idea, and he wrote a book that became the bestseller. It's called The Mayan Factor. And then he did prophecies for what was going to happen in 2012, 2013. And he happened to mention my name in there. I never met the guy, so it's like I said, Miranda will bring the lost knowledge. And that's how these people is. They were waiting for this Miranda person, and I showed her and I said, you're the one, you know. The Arguelles talk about it. So Arguelles is dead now, but I never got to meet him. But that's why I'm talking to you, because I became famous, you know, from being in a dark room writing calendars, doing this little chat, and this person spread the rumor they found the sage or whatever. So this blog became hundreds of thousands of people from all over the world. And then I got looked for the Science Museum in Minnesota. They called me, and it's like, is it Gina, Miranda? And I said, yeah. Yeah, you're going to give me a free subscription? No, we want to talk to you. So they wanted to be the advisors in the biggest Mayan exhibit in the history of the U.S. So they called me there, and it shocked me because, you know, they were like bowing to me. Oh, your eminence. So this is what they read from these other people, you know, when they were talking about me, you know. So because of that, they published that in the museum. We got an actual sage here talking and advising the museum. And so the newspaper came over and blind me with lights, you know, interviews, TV, radio shows, and all that stuff. And that's why I'm talking to you. Because after that, I traveled to universities and places that people call me to talk about this thing, you know. So that's the base of what happened, you know. And over the years, I continue developing more the calendar and trying to crack more of the codes, the secrets of the codes. Like I was playing in the class later, the calendar is a device that was invented maybe 4,000 years ago. Archaeologists fight for that and say, no, it's only 3,000 years, you know. But the calendar is based into biology and into nature. These guys created this device that is unlike anything around the world, which is something that is based totally in the cycles of nature. Like, for example, the first wheel is called the Solkin. The first wheel is 260 days. Archaeologists call it the sacred round. So 260 days is the length of pregnancy. And that's the key of the whole calendar. From there, you got a bunch of wheels, but that's the key, the access of it. So that implies that it's calibrated for humanity. You know, this other calendar is just made up stuff, you know. But this one is based in nature.
What does Zolkin mean?
Solkin means the counting of the days.
Oh, all right.
Because kin is day, sol is like counting. So it's the counting of the days, or the keeping of the days. So this thing came up with, supposedly in this philosophy, there is 20 forces in the universe. 20 energies of 20 forces of the universe, basic forces. You got some calendar, each one of you. I'm going to show you something. So we didn't bring the quilt.
You didn't bring the quilt.
It's in his car.
I asked if you needed anything.
So
Wow.
this is nice January. You can look at January because in January it starts like the quilt. The quilt has this one first, and it goes by the numbers. There's 20 of them. So if you go to 20th day, see in 21 it starts repeating. The same symbol that you see.
Okay, yeah.
So all the 20 forces are described into these first 20 days. So that's what you're going to see in the quilt, those 20.